And welcome back once again to the universe, and we're going to be talking about my second list. And this is going to be the unsung heroes of horror. The people who live, or mostly live, through these films. Now, keep in mind, this is my top 10 list. I'm not trying to say this is the definitive end-all, be-all list. And here at Comic Universe, we're always excited to hear who makes it to your list and why. So, before we get started on my list, I'd like to talk about, as before, the honorable mentions to said list. And that is, let's get started with, for honorable mentions, Hicks from Aliens. Total badass, and it sucks that we didn't get more of him in Alien 3. Peter Vincent from Fright Night. A cool character that even got a neat little reboot with Dave, and I'm not saying that just because I'm a David Tennant fan. Okay, a little bit, yeah. Jamie from Halloween, a great little character, and one of the few good kid actors out there who actually gives a great performance, and is one of the better parts of the Halloween 5. And it just sucks that we lost her in 6, and wasn't even Danielle Harris as the actress. Really sucky send-off for that character. But the character of Jamie was tolerable and a nice little follow-up to Laurie. Moving on, Father Merrin from Exorcist. Cool old guy who was an excellent performance, who gave off an excellent performance throughout the film. Christy from Hellraiser. And in the comics, she's the new Pinhead. Try to figure that out. And finally, Andy from Child's Play. Another cool horror hero who had to grow up with evil in his life. Yeah, that's not going to fuck you up. So anyway, let's get on with the top 10. Kicking things off at number 10 with R.J. Mac McCready from The Thing. Played by Kurt Russell, this dude is a man's man. This is the type of dude you want on your side when shit goes down. Because if anyone's gonna live, it's the guy who not only knows how to kick some ass, but also knows how to fly the helicopter in and out of the most inhospitable place on Earth. So, R.J. McCready definitely had to be on this list. Moving on to Shaun from Shaun of the Dead. Yes, I know it's a horror comedy, but still, there's some great horror elements in here. And Simon Pegg's performance as Shaun is astounding. It's really good, especially with the deep and emotional parts to this film. So much so that he and Nick Frost were given a cameo role as zombies in George A. Romero's film Land of the Dead. Shaun is just an all-around cool character, and he's an everyman, and you can't help but root for the real underdogs in these films. Anyway, moving on now to our number 8, which is Dutch from Predator. Again, much like McCready, this is a guy you want on your side. If anyone's gonna live, it's Arnold motherfucking Schwarzenegger, who went toe-to-toe with the Predator, and also figured out real quick what the whole game was with this creature. Without even being told by a scientist and what have you, he just figured it out real quick. And, yeah, again, all-around military badass. I just wish we got more of him in the films. Anyway, moving on now to number 7, which is Professor Van Helsing from the Hammer franchise of the Dracula films, played by the late great Peter Cushing. Almost said Peter Vincent. Dr. Van Helsing has this great aura and charisma to him. And again, no matter how bad those films got in some places, he and Christopher Lee as Dracula were always a horror match made in heaven. And it was always great to see those two fight it out. A great character all around. Also, fun fact, Peter Cushing did a lot of his own stunts in those films. So when you see him running up to the curtains and throwing them down, that's him. Also, there's a kung fu movie he did called The Seven Golden Vampires, which has him fighting kung fu vampires. It's really weird, but also really fun in a weird way. So it would be remiss not to have the good doctor around here. And speaking of good doctors, at number 6, we have Dr. Sam Loomis from Halloween. A character, again, played by another late great horror actor, Donald Pleasance. In here, no matter how bad the films got, in some cases with the Thorn trilogy, Donald Pleasance was always excellent with those films. He was always had this excellent charisma to him, and in the initial film where he's talking about why Michael is so evil, in the original film, it still chills you to the bone. You really do feel that, yeah, he's, Michael is pure evil just from that speech alone from the original film. It's an all-around excellent portrayal by Sam Loomis. And the reason why I gave him a little higher, and this was tough too, the reason why I put him just above Dr. Van Helsing was because, unlike Van Helsing, you look into the, who looks into the void and still manages to walk away from it, Dr. Loomis shows us what happens when you stare into the void too long. You start to go a little mad, and I like that. But however, despite all that, he still tried to fight for what's right and be Michael's Ahab in a way, Michael Myers' Ahab in a way. So I really did like that about that character, that character in that perspective. Moving right along to our top 5 now. Moving on to Nancy Thompson from Nightmare on Elm Street. The girl who's one of the first final girls. Nancy Thompson is a great character. Started out as this shy, very unsure of herself girl, and by the end of the film, she's kicking Freddy's ass. She drags him into the real world and Home Alone's his ass into submission, and also grew up to help other kids who are dealing with Freddy's nightmares. It's really a shame to see her go in Dream Warriors, but it was cool to have her back for Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and still Heather Langenkamp gives off an amazing performance in all 3 of those films, going from a shy, timid young girl to an all-around badass in the other 2 films. Yeah, so totally Nancy Thompson for this role. I mean, for this spot. At number 4, we have Tommy Jarvis from the Friday the 13th series. More to the point from Final Chapter, New Beginning, and Jason Lives. Called the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, Tommy Jarvis was like a first real physical opponent for Jason. Someone who actually was like his opponent throughout it. A guy, even as a boy, had to fight Jason on his own terms, which was really cool. And even if New Beginning is not the best film out of the franchise, he was still a pretty cool character. And also, like I said, he had kind of a physicality to him to allow him to fight Jason, as well as that idiot paramedic Roy. God, fucking A. Fucking hate New Beginning. Is that not clear yet? Oh, it is? Is it? Let me say it again. New Beginning fucking sucks. But Final Chapter and Jason Lives are really good, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And it was also really cool to have the character of Tommy back in a fan film called Never Hike Alone, also played by the same actor. And again, Tommy is still a great prevalent character, showing up in comics as well as a playable character in the Friday the 13th game. So he certainly left his impact on the franchise. So, moving on to our top 3. And at number 3, we have Ellen Ripley from the Alien franchise. No matter how bad those films got, at least Ripley was still pretty cool. Aside from Resurrection with the weird alien hybrid thing. That was a thing. But no, much like a lot of final girls in your typical horror, she started out as this timid girl, this timid, unsure of herself character, when she's thrust upon into this situation where she now has to have command of this just horrible-ass situation, and now has to, persevere through it. And you really see her come to her the character we know and love in Aliens, where we see her, become this woman going toe-to-toe with the Queen in that suit. All-around excellent character played by Sigourney Weaver. So yeah, Ellen Ripley, number 3. At number 2, we have Laurie Strode, also from Halloween. Yes, I'm using 2 characters from Halloween. Whatever, it's my list. Shut up. Technically, I had 3 if you count Jamie in my honorable mentions. So, again, my list, my rules. Anyway, so Laurie Strode. Again, a character who's just a babysitter, just trying to survive a Halloween night against a slasher who would turn out to be her brother in the previous continuity. Laurie was, again, a character, and it shows the most in H20, where she had to deal with these personal demons caused by her brother, and had to take him on head-on in this brutal fight. It just sucks they killed her off unceremoniously in one of the worst horror films ever, in Halloween Resurrection. Fuck that movie. I hate that more than the Rob Zombie remakes. Just saying. Anyway, so, yeah, Laurie's just an all-around great character, very intelligent, as well as, it shows that you can't just walk away from something that traumatic. You cannot just walk away from it, and I can't wait to see what Jamie Lee Curtis does with the character in the upcoming 2018 film. So, at number 1, are you even shocked who's number 1? You guys probably even know from entering this film, checking out this video. Man, I tongue-tied my words real bad there. Yeah, you guys already know who it is. Y'all know who it is. It's the one, the only, hail to the king, baby. It's Ash motherfucking J. Williams. Yeah. Did you not think he was gonna be in here? Did you not think he was gonna be in this film? Yeah. I mean, not in this film, this list. He is the number 1 for a reason. He is the Mac Daddy of horror heroes. Throughout the Evil Dead franchise, and has become a very popular, as well as quotable character. Again, much like Sean, this very, underdog-type character, and this very, I've been thrust upon this situation, so now I gotta deal with it. But he's not like with a lot of other characters. He does hide his insecurities and mental issues of dealing with the Deadites for so long, but at the same time, he goes out and whips ass day in and day out because he's the king, baby. So, it wouldn't be groovy if I didn't have him on this list, and you guys probably knew that he was going to be number 1. So there you go, guys. Those are my top 10 favorite heroes of horror. Again, you don't really see a lot of this list out there. You really don't see a lot of characters on a list like this in most horror in the horror community. Man, I am just really trying to go through the motions here with this. I'm sorry, I did not sleep well last night. Maybe Freddy was in my dreams. You never know. Anyway, so as always, guys, keep in mind, this was just my personal list of, as well as goes for the honorable mentions. Who, by the way, I'm going to add to my honorable mentions, because my list, my rules, Burt Gummer from Tremors. Forgot to mention him in my honorable mentions, so wanted to throw him in there, give him a quick shout out as well. But yeah, once again, we're always excited to hear what you guys have to say in Comic Universe, here at Comic Universe, for your top 10 heroes of horror. Because again, I'm not trying to say that these are the definitive top 10 heroes of horror. I'm not saying that at all. If you think a character should have been higher or lower on the list or not at all, that's totally fine. No ill will against you. I just decided, hey, you don't see a lot of this version of this list out there. Yeah, I want to see what that'd be like. So here we are now. So, once again, hope you all enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments below who are your top 10 heroes of horror and why. And also, if you're new here, click that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and share us on social media. Tell your friends, tell your family all about us here at Comic Universe, and we'll see you back here once again in the universe.